Welcome back to Briggs on Books, a truly international talk show where we talk to authors from all over the world. What a great job I have. I get to talk to people from all over the world. Our first guest today is coming to us from Israel, and he has a fascinating book with fascinating stories. By the way, here it is. You know what we do this time of year? We buy people gifts. By the time we finish this talk with the author, hopefully you're going to buy this as one of the gifts you're going to give people. Not only do I have the book here, by the way, I have the author. If I can find him, there he is. Here he is. The author is Ellis Shuman, and the book is Rakia. Welcome, Ellis.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I must say the full title of the book, by the way, because that's what's most interesting.
The name of the book is Rakia, Stories of Bulgaria.
And here's the cover for our viewers. And I told you before we came on the air, I love to read stories of places I don't know much about. In Bulgaria, it's a mystery to me. Tell us about the book, Ellis.
Well, it's a collection of short stories set in Bulgaria. A few words of background why I, as an Israeli author, came to write a book set in Bulgaria. I'm actually American born. I grew up in Sioux City, Iowa.
Okay.
My family moved to Israel when I was 15 years old. I worked in many different occupations, but I eventually navigated my way into internet online marketing. And for 2 years, my job was relocated from Tel Aviv to Sofia, Bulgaria.
Oh, my
goodness. A country which I, like you, knew nothing about. And my wife and I lived in Sofia, Bulgaria for 2 years, fell in love with the country, traveled extensively, learned about the country's history, culture, traditions, religion, cuisine. Coming back to Israel, I felt a strong connection to Bulgaria, which I was able to express through my writing.
Nice.
And that was the source for the book, a collection of short stories.
Yeah. By the way, not a lot of Jewish people in Bulgaria, is that right?
Today there's about 6,000 Jews in Bulgaria.
Nice.
But if you allow me to give you a little bit of history.
Yes, I love that.
One of the stories in the book is called Forgiveness. It's a story based on historical fact, based in World War II. At the time, Bulgaria was aligned with the Nazis, but the country's 50,000 Jews survived the Holocaust. The Bulgarian people refused to let their Jewish citizens be deported and sent to the concentration camps.
Wow.
This is a very unique part of Bulgarian history, actually of world history, that a country was able to save its Jews during World War II. Most of those Jews came to Israel at the end of the war, but today there are 6,000 Jews left in the country.
Yeah, amazing. Who would know that? I mean, you found out when you moved to Bulgaria.
That's right. That's right.
What I think there's a lot of percentage of Orthodox. What would that consist of in Bulgaria?
Well, I would say that most of the Jews in Bulgaria are highly secular, part of the regular Bulgarian society. Their connection to Judaism is really only according to some traditions. It's not like they're a very religious Jewish community. But on the whole, we found Bulgaria also to be a very secular country. The country has a high regard for its religion. It's Eastern Orthodox. There are a lot of churches and monasteries all across the country. And citizens are very highly respectful of their religion, but on the whole, they're a secular people.
Mostly secular, yeah. Tell us a story. Can you tell us a story from the book? There's a lot of stories. They're all individual short stories. Is that right?
Right. Well, I'll explain the name of the book and tell about the opening story. Rakia, for those who don't know, like I didn't know before I moved to Bulgaria, is the traditional Bulgarian alcoholic drink. It is commercially produced in Bulgaria, but it is best when it's homemade by residents of villages all across the country who make it in their cellars and basements by using the fruit off of their trees, whether it be cherries or apricots or grapes from their vineyard. It is highly alcoholic, very strong and potent. When I first drank rakia in Bulgaria, I almost passed out in on the restaurant floor, but I grew a liking to the taste of rakia. Bulgarians traditionally raise a cup of rakia to toast each other at meals. So, first story of the book is called Rakia. It's the tale of two former friends who live in a small village in the south of Bulgaria who participate in a competition to see who can make the best homemade rakia. And the story explains the process of making rakia, but it's a story of friendship, how this competition ends up bringing these two neighbors back together.
Back
as
together.
friends.
Yeah. I was going to ask, is it competitive, the making of the rakia between neighbors, and is it a source of pride, I should ask?
Actually, there are some commercial competitions countrywide in Sofia, but I think a village competition is a creation of mine. It's a figment of, it's something fictional that I don't think actually takes place.
But while you're living there, you sampled some different batches of that?
Yes. Oh, yes. And again, the best rakia was homemade.
Homemade, yeah. Amazing. Yeah. Something I've never heard of again. I'm going to love reading this book, Ellis. Do you have another story for us?
Well, I can tell you the story of the mother and child, the mother and daughter, which is also related to the story of the baker, because what's going on in Syria is very reported in the news today. The civil war in Syria has been going on for more than a decade. As a result of the civil war, many Syrians sought refuge in Europe. Some of them made their way to Bulgaria, either as a stepping stone to a better future in the West, or some of them actually found homes in Bulgaria. The story the baker tells of a physician, a pediatrician from Damascus, who moves to Sofia with his family, where he finds it out and takes up an occupation working with his brother in a bakery, and their main product is pita, pocket bread, also known as pita or pitot. Their bakery is run, and one day an Israeli walks into the bakery and makes an order of pitot, and here in Israel and Assyria, who are enemies in the past, maybe today, no longer enemies, depending on what happens in Syria and developments happening in that country right now. But it's an interesting meeting between two men in a Syrian bakery. The related story is mother and daughter, where two women, a woman and her daughter, who are Roma, residents of Bulgaria who do not have full citizenship. The mother is trying to make a living for her daughter, who has a speech impediment. She doesn't believe that Bulgarian authorities can take care of her daughter, so she resorts to pickpocketing on the streets of Sofia to feed her daughter. Sometimes she gets stale bread from a bakery run by two brothers from Syria, so that's how these two stories are interconnected.
They interconnect, yeah. Now, these stories, are they true? They have a grain of truth? What's the...
They're all based on experiences or imagined experiences of what I had living for 2 years in Bulgaria. One of the stories is called The Volcano, which is the story of two Israelis working in a startup in Sofia, and one of them has a pregnant wife back in Tel Aviv. A volcano erupts in Iceland. And this is a true story, something that happened in 2009.
Yeah.
And for the life of me, I cannot give you the name of the volcano, but it is a real volcano that erupted, causing disruption in air travel all across Europe.
I remember that, yes.
The volcanic cloud went eastward across the continent. Air flight was canceled everywhere. The only plane scheduled to depart from Sofia's international airport was a flight back to Tel Aviv. And the Israeli in the story, his wife is about to give birth, and he is asked to come back in time for the birth, but he doesn't know if this flight will actually take place to get off the ground. This story is based a little bit on a real story of my wife trying to get back to Israel in time for my granddaughter's birth, but the flight was tentative because of this volcanic cloud of ash heading across the continent. To give you a spoiler, in real life, the plane actually took off, and my wife got to Israel in time to see her granddaughter.
Nice.
In the story, I will not give this spoiler how the story is.
Okay. I could tell just from talking to you, Ellis, that these are very colorful and well-told stories. It makes me want to read this right away. I never would have picked this book out of the millions I have to choose from had I not talked to you. So I'm really glad you came on the show, and I hope our viewers will go find the book. Tell us where they could get the book.
The book is available online at Amazon, paperback, digital, hardback even. I think it'll introduce readers not only to my stories, but to Bulgaria itself.
Yeah.
Many people have never considered traveling to Bulgaria. It's not a tourist destination on anyone's bucket list, but I think it's definitely worthwhile. Yeah,
once we read the book, we'll probably want to go there. Ellis, I have your blog address on the screen, your Twitter or X, whatever that thing is on the screen. We've gone way past time. I could talk to you all day, though. You're fascinating, and I can tell you're a good storyteller. Any last thoughts, anything you want to tell our viewers about the book or about you? By the way, I meant to put a date stamp on this. Today is December 10th, 2024, and things are happening in Syria right now, so it's a remarkable time.
Again, if I manage to share my love and appreciation for Bulgaria, the Bulgarian way of life, Bulgarian people, that is the goal of these stories, that is the goal of when I wrote 2 suspense novels set in Bulgaria. It's a wonderful country to visit. I think readers will enjoy the book. I think tourists will enjoy visiting the country.
Very good. Is it expensive to go there? Is it inexpensive to go there?
It's very reasonable to travel around Bulgaria.
Yeah, that's a question I ask everybody who's pushing a country. It moves it higher up on my list. Ellis, I hope you'll come back on the show. How many books do you have out so far?
This is my 4th book. I've written 1 collection of short stories set in Israel, 2 suspense novels set in Bulgaria, and now this collection of short stories set in Bulgaria. Rakia.
All right. Find Ellis Shuman. I found him on Amazon. It just took me a second. Ellis Shuman. I want to say it correctly. I keep saying it wrong, but here's the book, Rakia. Thank you so much. You honor me, Ellis, for coming on the show, and I hope you'll come back again and again.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
And for our viewers, don't go anywhere. We'll be back with another author right after this.